Okay, we're back. We're live. It's our flagship show. It's Hawaii, the state of clean energy, which is so important to us. If I didn't say that right, I got to say it again. It's really important. There's Sharon Moriwaki on the far side, and we're making a height sandwich with Howard Wiig. He's in the middle. And Howard is he's energy analyst for DBED. And in case you didn't know what DBED stands for, we'll tell you. It's the Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism. Yeah. Okay. Yep. And this show is going to be called The Death Ray Comes to Kakaako. I feel certain that this will be a real winner. And we'll put those words on the title on YouTube, and wow, they'll be coming from miles around to find out what we mean when we talk about the death ray in Kakaako. Welcome to the show, Howard.
It's my pleasure to be here.
How to deal with it. How we deal with it.
Absolutely.
Now, if Howard looks familiar, and he might look familiar to some people, smile for a moment. Howard is the host of Code Green.
Yep.
Okay, and Monday afternoon at 2 p.m. 3 p.m. 3 p.m.
3
okay.
p.m. Yep.
Yeah, okay, I hope we got it straight next Monday. And he brings in sterling information, also, from energy analysis at DBED. So, a valuable player at ThinkTech. Thank you so much. Especially, we feel, very, passionate about that at Christmas time.
Not as passionate as I do.
Good.
Yeah.
Good, great. What did you say to him, Sharon?
He's passionate and everything.
Okay, so what we're going to talk about is two things today, just so you know in advance, and you can stay tuned. Our job's to keep you tuned, okay? Tune up.
Tune up.
One is the windows, the death ray windows in Kakaako, and the other we're going to talk about the 100% goal, which is very important. But, in terms of news, the death ray windows are really important. I remember, when my law office was downtown, and they were building all these. But my first 10 years in practice, I could look out my window and I could see the ocean. And I said to myself, this isn't going to last very long. And then they started building buildings between me and the ocean, and then they put in those death ray windows. And like you're looking at yourself, right? Like a big mirror. I said, this can't be good. But that's what they did. Now, what exactly, Howard, is wrong with death ray windows?
Okay. They have a primarily metallic substrate. How's that?
Substrate of
Substrate.
Substrate of some metal, usually silver.
Inside the window as they make it.
Inside the window. And I believe it's a silver coating that makes a mirror a mirror. And the idea is they want to reflect back the sun's heat via a mirror, but that is absolutely not necessary to reflect the sun's heat. So if you would like me to introduce to you.
Well, let's first talk about where it starts. I mean, it was a good idea that maybe went off the side, right? We want to bounce the sun's heat back because that keeps the building cooler, especially in Aloha Land, where things can get hot. And so you bounce it back, you get a cooler building, you spend much less money on electricity for the air conditioning system or whatever in the building.
Absolutely.
Okay, great idea.
Great idea.
But something went wrong. This is like that program on Saturday morning on HPR. What was it again? Media Lab, I think. Anyway, so something went wrong. What could have gone wrong, Howard?
Okay, the buildings that you're referring to were built by a famous builder whose name slips me now. He was back in the 1970s, and that was the best window technology we had at the time. But window technology, just like computer technology, everything else is going up, 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 up. We don't need that what's called exterior visible reflectivity anymore. We can have high performance windows which keep the heat out and not have that high visible reflectance.
If it's not reflective, where does the heat go?
Interesting question. Because
It's Media Lab all over again.
Yes. Let me introduce you to, I didn't have time to put these
Can you
on
zoom
the,
in?
yeah, can you zoom right there? What you see in the yellow is the visible rays, the visible waves of light that we can see. And the higher the color goes, the more visibility we have. To the right, we see the red, that is the infrared waves.
Yes,
That
right.
is the heat. What we want is a window that performs like this. Very, very high visible light, very low heat light. This is what's known as a spectrally selective window.
Oh yeah, my wife and I, we talk about this at dinner almost
Yeah,
every
yeah,
night.
yeah.
But could you go through that again for the less
Simple.
understanding of us among us
Okay,
people,
okay.
regular
It's
people?
simple. It's you want more light in and less heat.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So
and how you do
how do
that
you
with
do
this
that?
new
You
technology? How does that
take,
work?
you remember that visible light is measured in waves, as Einstein taught us. And the visible light goes between, and this is nanometers, billionth of a meter, from 380 to 800.
Nanometers.
Violet on this side, deep red on the other side.
Yeah.
That's what we want to let through in the window. Right beyond that, 800 to 1200 nanometers
Yeah.
is the near infrared, that is the heat.
Okay. We
So-
don't want any infrared.
We don't, ideally, we would have 0. We haven't perfected that yet, but we have gotten gosh darn close. A lot of visible light comes through. Most of the near infrared is reflected.
On this new kind of window.
This new
and
kind
what are
of
we
window.
calling this new kind of window?
A, real simple, a spectrally selective window, or for the layman, a high performance window.
Spectrally. Well, this is a tech show.
Spectrally
Selective.
Spectrally, referring to the spectrum that we're
Spectrum,
dealing
the light
with.
spectrum, and
yeah.
select certain parts of the
Yeah.
spectrum.
Again, 380 to 800 visible, 800 to 1200 near infrared.
How does it know? This is like the thermos.
Yeah.
I always ask people
Yeah.
about the thermos. I said, how does it know?
That is
Well,
a
how does the
very-
window know the nanometers?
When I really figure that out, I'm going to come and do a one-man show on that. I toured a glass manufacturing company. This is some years ago. And they showed us the technology. It has to do with spattering of microscopic silver
You
dots.
see
Oh,
this?
silver dust. This
See
is good.
Yeah,
This is Christmas
yeah,
time.
Okay,
Silver-
spattering what?
Of
Silver dust.
microscopic silver dots.
No, that's a metal.
Yeah.
Aren't you trying to get away from metal?
Yeah, in this case, it intercepts the infrared and it lets through the visible.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Who
And it-
discovered this?
Not Columbus, I don't know.
But so how much does this cost? Or everybody should be using it.
Okay.
Must
So
be
When did it
expensive.
happen is the big question.
Okay, when
When
and
did
how
they
much?
find
I
out?
sit on the National Energy Code boards, and we decide to put this type of thing into the energy codes. So I attend the national hearings, and we decide what goes in here. And we're always looking at the SHGC,
Which is
the solar heat gain coefficient.
solar heat gain coefficient.
So a heat gauge.
So
Okay, that's the
this-
SHGC, just as you said.
And that measures the amount of solar radiance.
We're going to get a shot of that. There we go.
Sure.
There we go. Okay, the 0.30 is the solar heat gain coefficient in this instance, and the 0.51 is the visible light transmittance.
Wow. Quite a
So
bit,
this is
almost
measuring,
twice as
yeah,
much,
the fact that 70% of the solar radiance, the radiant heat, striking the window is reflected, so that only 30% gets through, but 51%, when we're standing inside and looking out, we can see 51% as much of the exterior as we could if the pane of glass were clear.
So is that more efficient than when you use the metallic chemicals
Absolutely,
inside.
yeah.
So that's interesting. So,
because
and when
they-
did this happen? When did this get discovered?
This has been improved and improved for easily the last 50 years or so. This is a fairly
but now it's
recent
ready.
development.
That's what you decided on that committee,
Yeah.
the code committee in Washington.
Oh, and then we got back to cost. So at the last Code Committee National, which produced the 2015 IECC, which is everybody's Bible, at least it's my Bible, we came down to selecting the SHGC for the warmer climates
Solar heat gain coefficient. Yeah.
and we wanted to get it down to 0.25. And the home builders were saying, no, that's too expensive. And we said, yes, because there's something called market transformation. When you pass a code, it's not adopted only by Hawaii, but by all the states. Suddenly, you're going from a higher SHGC, which like the 0.30, to a lower one. The glass manufacturers are right there on the same floor that we are on. And when it passes.
Oh, really? In Washington?
Yeah, because all the manufacturers
And they
and
run
everything
back
are
and they
there.
start producing.
They probably wanted to be on the
Precisely.
same floor. They probably
Oh,
looked
they
around to
wanna
be
be.
on the
This
same
is
floor.
in
They
looking
like
out
you. Yeah.
And incidentally, they fought it. The home builders fought it, but the good guys won. So they dash back to their offices and say, 0.25 SHGC, the wonders of mass production.
Lower the price.
They start producing, and the price goes down.
Sure.
I talked to the production builders, the guys who build many homes on the Eva Plains, and I say, do you have any problem meeting 2.25 SHGC? They say, no, we didn't buy the mats and container load.
And it's not remarkably more than 3.0.
Yeah. In fact, I think they say it's called the price point. The price point is the same.
See
because
what kind
of the wonders of
Yeah.
market
But
transformation.
Well, the
so the-
wonder is that you and your committee were able to change the world in this little detail.
That's what
This
they get paid
book,
to do.
this book, propagates everywhere,
Yeah.
and then the manufacturers follow the book, and the contractors follow the book. Before you know it, the idea that you came up with about 2.5 versus 3.0 becomes standard for the country.
Standard for the country. When I was at the manufacturer's factory, I said, what if I wanted a single pane place of glass, the stuff that we grew up with? And he said, that'd cost you a lot more. We'd have to special order it.
Because it's outdated.
Yeah,
already.
it's outdated.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So this
Market
is
transformation.
standard, the 2.5 standard.
Well, I should clarify it. This is not yet officially code, but I won't go into the code adoption process, but it's gosh darn near.
Okay, so what I get out of this is that this is going to be like everywhere. This isn't just in a few new buildings. I mean, it's every new building.
Well,
Oh, yeah, the
every new
what about
building,
that?
yeah.
The retrofitting. I mean, if you have buildings that are exuding a lot of heat and light, what happens to these old buildings? Are they going to be required to come up to the standard now?
Well, a good question. When they replace, the operative word being system, then they must replace that with code compliant equipment. If they're taking out all the windows in a building and replacing them, they must be, in this case, 0.25 SHGC.
So,
Fabulous. We're going to take a break, Sharon.
yes, okay.
How
When we come
sad.
back, I'd like to get into how this relates to Kakaako
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
the death ray in
Yeah.
Kakaako.
This is going too fast.
This life is going too fast. It's the end of the year already.
Aloha, my name is Kirsten Baumgart Turner, and I'm the host of Sustainable Hawaii at thinktechhawaii.com. We air live on the internet and also on Oceanic Channel 16. I'd invite you to come for a fresh new show every Tuesday from 12 to 1 o'clock. I try to bring on guests that give us a different viewpoint on aspects of sustainability in Hawaii, as well as trying to unpack some of the difficult concepts of measuring and achieving sustainability, particularly with regard to sustainable economic growth and prosperity in Hawaii. Please join us every Tuesday from 12 to 1 p.m. Mahalo, aloha.
Hi, I'm Ethan Allen, host of Likeable Science on Think Tech Hawaii. Come join us every Friday at 2 p.m. when I interview interesting scientists about what they do, why they do it, and why we should all care about it. It's a lot of fun to see. We hear, and you can learn interesting stuff. You'll hear all kinds of fascinating science, and we know you'll have a great time. Hope to see you then. Bye-bye.
Bingo, we're back. We're here with Howard Wiig and Sharon Moriwaki, and we're finding out stuff we did not know. And we found out about selective, spectrally selective, high-performance glass that's going to take over the world. But why do I care? Why does Kakaako care? Is this going to be good or bad or in the middle for Kakaako?
It's going to be very, very good because they dodged the bullet, the Kakaako developers. They did not have to conform to this. They had to conform to a much older code. If they had needed to conform to this, they would have had a maximum 0.40 glazing area, meaning that a maximum of 40% of the exterior wall area could be glass. Why? Because glass transmits heat much more readily than does, say, concrete. And we're after energy efficiency. But they dodged the bullet. They have all of this glass everywhere. And I can only speculate as to what the performance of that glass is. Think of it, 36 stories high, August, the afternoon sun directly striking that glass. What do you, somebody
This
in
is the
there-
old glass or the new glass?
Well, that's what we're about to get into. So speculate, somebody paid $800,000 for a unit high up. The August sun
God,
blazing.
I wish, I'll go on record about this. I wish I could pay $800,000
But you're
for a
going to be
unit
in the
high up.
death ray.
How about 3 times that? We'll see if
Right.
the death ray affects
death ray.
prices.
Oh, I was being conservative. You go up a few floors and you get into the 6 figures and so forth. But if you didn't have high performance spectrally selective glass, what would happen? Most of that August heat would come in to the space. Now you're feeling that radiance coming in, so you crank up the AC, so you've got all this cold air blowing in on you from one side, you've got this heat coming at you from the other side. You paid $800,000 to endure this? I don't think so.
And you're working against yourself.
Yeah.
You got 2 things, and they're both neutralizing each other.
And yet the developers said it was a lead standard that created
Okay.
this.
And
So where
was,
is that?
They specified very, very high performance glass. We were talking about 0.25 SHGC. I wish that I'd been doing my homework, or I wish they'd divulge what they're doing. But you can go down to 0.17 SHGC, meaning only 17% of the heat goes through, or even I've seen 0.12
Solar
heat gain
heat
coefficient.
generation
No.
Solar heat gain
gain
coefficient.
coefficient.
Yeah.
Okay. And
So-
the lower it is, the better.
Lower it is, the better. However, then you get into the question of your VLT.
BLT.
V.
Oh, I thought it was a sandwich or something.
Visible light transmittance. That measures
light.
the degree to which you can see the exterior. In a clear pane of glass, the VLT is 1.0. When you get into the high performance glazing, you go down. In this instance, you have 0.30 solar heat gain coefficient, 0.51 VLT, which is good.
Well,
What the
better
VL
than 0.30,
Yes.
because then you can see through it.
Yeah.
But it's not as good as 1.0, which
No.
you can see clearly through.
Precisely. So
clear
you're
pane.
always doing a trade-off. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Kakaako Development Authority, in their wisdom, mandated that the VLT be a minimum of 0.5, and I don't think that the developers reached that. But, so the president of the Kakaako, what is the name of the organization?
HCDA.
HCDA.
Hawaii Community
Yeah.
Development.
Had lunch with me, and I whipped out my handy-dandy code, and I pointed him to fenestration area, increase vertical fenestration area with daylight responsive controls. How's that sound? one little point. Visible transmittance of vertical fenestration, those are windows,
Yeah.
is not less than 1.1 times solar heat gain coefficient, SHGC. So if you can do a sample calculation for me, please.
Sure.
No, you can.
Time for a break. Yeah.
So that means that if you have an SHGC of 0.25,
Yeah.
your visible light transmittance must be 1.1 times that. So 0.25 times 1.1 is
over 50%. Over what, about 0.6 something?
No. 1.1 times 0.25 is
Huh.
0.275.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
What's
not
the
very good.
0.275 is what?
That's, you can see 27.5% of what is out there.
That's not good enough.
not
That's
good,
not
huh?
That's
good
lower
enough.
than 3.30.
However, this is very conservative because in this example, we see that with a 0.30, you have a VLT of 0.51. 0.51 is
That's
totally acceptable.
Yeah. You know,
So-
one thing I want to clear up with you is that if I'm in one of these big buildings with all this glass, I don't want the sun to come and shine. I forget about heat for a minute.
You're talking glare now.
I'm talking about glare, and I'm talking about, what do you call it, tint. I'm talking about tint.
No, you're not.
We are not talking about tint today.
We're not talk-
You
tint-
could have tint on this glass, and it wouldn't affect the properties of the
Yes,
glass as
it would,
high
it would,
performance.
it
It would.
You're talking way back in the Pleistocene era of glass development.
Pleistocene.
Pleistocene.
Yeah.
That went out before
That
the
means really
hominids.
old.
Pleistocene.
It was like
Real
long time
old,
ago.
yeah.
We like history.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
so we don't care about
So you don't have to
non-glare
tint.
glass
You're saying
anymore.
you don't have to
Tint is
tint now.
old hat because tint, number one, it does reduce the glare, and you're talking glare here, but when you have a darker color with solar radiance striking it, what happens? You have a greater absorptivity. What happens when it absorbs? It transmits through the glass and into the interior. You don't want a dark tint. That's old hat. That went out with the.
But I don't want it 1.0 either.
No,
1.0
because-
would be, I'd have glare all through my apartment, right,
Absolutely.
wouldn't I?
Therefore, you have high performance windows.
So this is okay.
Yeah.
This VLT at 0.51 is okay.
Yeah,
That's quite
fine,
comfortable
yeah.
inside.
Yeah, well, that's the visibility that you're getting to the outside.
Yes,
because
what I
you're
mean.
paying to be up in a high rise with this beautiful view. Of course you want to see
But I
outside,
don't want it too visible because, right? If
Yeah.
it's too visible, I'm going to get glare.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's a short exam at the end of the program, multiple choice.
So, but what we're really talking about is exterior visible light reflectivity.
Yeah.
Those are the
Yes,
death rays
right.
that that's the official term for it. Those are the death rays that you're referring to. And that is the mirror-like effect of the visible light bouncing
Bouncing
back
off.
and affecting people's.
Outside,
Okay, so-
outside the building, though. There's the one
Outside.
that's inside, and what you want inside for being cool and getting to see out.
That's
But
the
then
near
it's-
infrared.
The reflectivity can go out and then blind people who are driving or
Yeah.
other people in other
Yeah,
buildings.
let's talk about
So-
that. So
so-
it's a funny looking blue thing, isn't it? I mean, I've seen it as
Or
blue.
greenish, it can be
Or
green. too,
greenish.
yeah.
And it's focused kind of. It gets in your eyes and it does
Yeah, yeah.
Blind, it's blinding
obscure your
sometimes.
vision if it
Yep.
happens to shine right on you.
Yep.
It's not pleasant. You'd rather not have it than have it, especially
Absolutely.
if you're in a continuous stream of it. In other words, if it's happening all day long, you really don't like that much at all.
As it would with your neighbor, say.
Right.
If you were a neighboring property and this light started reflecting at 1 in the afternoon and continued to reflect till 4 in the afternoon.
That'd be unpleasant.
Yeah.
And it happens in
It
certain parts of the
happens.
city now.
Again, they could have specified a glass that had minimal exterior visible light reflectivity.
Yeah.
And they didn't. That would have meant that more visible light would come in. Again, I go back to the chart that you memorized.
Yeah.
You want to have let in.
Show it again. This time maybe we'll understand better.
You want to have in the yellow, you want to have as much of, that's the visible light, as much as possible coming in through your window, therefore you can see much better. And the red on the right is the near infrared, that's the heat. You want to absolutely minimize that. So in this case, I suspect that they minimize the heat coming in, but they also minimize the visible light coming in, which means that more of the visible light is reflected out and causing glare to its neighbors.
There's no law against this, though, right?
There is no law
That's
against
why
it,
it's all
yeah.
over the place.
But so once this
Precisely,
code
yeah.
becomes real, I mean, you know, approved, then if some of these buildings that have this glass, I mean, what is how can you mitigate that? Is there any way other than, you know, starting all over again?
No, there was a huge controversy where there was a lawsuit brought against one of the buildings, and the plaintiffs argued that to take out all the existing windows and replace them would be much more expensive than putting in the windows in the first place, because you've got nice open area. I think they estimated it was way up in the hundreds of millions of dollars.
Wow.
So
Just
the
for one
Kakaako-
building?
Yeah, the Kakaako authority said, okay, mea culpa, we didn't get the right specifications, so go ahead and reflect.
Okay, so let's go to my bottom line question. So how does this affect what's going on in Kakaako? In the new buildings, we won't have this problem with the death ray.
Yeah,
But in the old buildings, to the extent that they, you know, squeezed in before the new rules here,
yeah.
they will have the death ray, and
If
we will have
they-
to live with it.
I won't have to live with it, fortunately, but the neighbors will, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, all of us will have to live with it.
yeah.
Unless the people who are still specifying the windows for the new buildings coming up,
Yeah.
unless they learned a lesson and said, we shall minimize exterior visible light reflectance.
And you're saying that this new window would be less expensive than what they're putting in now, because it's like, you know, being more mass produced. Is that correct? So
I don't know.
Oh.
I'm not sure of what they put in.
But the city code will ultimately be the same as your 2015 code.
This will be the
And
city
it will
code.
call for the 2.5
SHGC.
SHGC.
Yeah.
So
This
that
will
at some
be
point,
the
we
city
won't have
code,
any
yeah.
more of this, or at least new
Yeah,
construction.
It will be highly mitigated, yeah.
It just strikes me that, though, that it's really kind of inconsiderate to put this stuff in when you don't have to. And it is definitely worth the money on a community level to put in the better glass, because the death ray is no fun for anybody, and
Yeah.
it's a nuisance is what it is to
And
everybody
then
in the
you get
neighborhood.
complaints.
Yeah,
Builders do not like complaints.
Yeah.
I hang around with them and they don't like it.
yeah. Well,
So, and also this new code will restrict high rises to 40% window area on your exterior.
so
Whereas these
that's-
guys, they look like it's probably more like 80%, because you have to have your pillars, you have to have your steel beams holding the buildings up. But all you can see is glass and glass and glass.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to have a short exam
Oh,
now. It's
again?
10 questions, multiple choice.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got to get 4.0 right, or else. We'll be right back after the short break for your exam. Yeah.
Aloha, my name is Reg Baker, and I'm the host of Business in Hawaii with Reg Baker. Business in Hawaii is a program that is positive stories about business in Hawaii. We're tired of hearing the negativity and why it's the wrong place to have a business. We talk about the positive reasons for having a business in Hawaii and how to be successful. We broadcast live every Thursday at 2 o'clock. We look forward to seeing you. Aloha.
Hi, I'm Stan the Energy Man, Stan Osterman, and I'm here to tell you about my show on Friday, every Friday, on my lunch hour, 12 o'clock till 1 o'clock here on Think Tech Hawaii. We talk about everything energy and anything you ever wanted to know about energy. So we're full of energy, and we'll see you here every Friday at noon to 1. Aloha.
Amazing. You all did very well on the exam. So I guess that's Howard Wiig next to me,
Good
is a
teacher.
good teacher. So that's Howard Wiig. He's an energy analyst for DBED, the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism. Okay, and here we are in Hawaii, the state of clean energy, with Sharon Moriwaki, my co-host, and we're talking about the death ray comes to Kakaako, or maybe leaves Kakaako.
Leaves Kakaako.
Now, Howard, you undertook a fairly substantial mission during that break. You said you would connect that up with our 100% 100% renewable target for 2045 or earlier, maybe.
Yep.
So I'd like to see you do that. Can you connect that up for us?
Okay, well, first I came across a great quote by Kurt Vonnegut.
Kurt Vonnegut, one of my favorite
Yes.
people in the world, yeah.
When I write, remember he's a writer, I feel like an armless, legless man with a crayon in his mouth.
Maybe that's why his books are no longer very
Death
popular.
ray silence.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that.
That's how he segues.
You can segue anything with that one.
So, given that, let's look at this goal. 100% clean energy for electricity by the year 2045, which is only, what is that? That's only 30 years away.
30 years away.
And-
If you think that's only, it's more than only. When you're at our advanced age, you think that's more than only.
That's a good point, but we have a younger audience out there.
Thank you.
So let's look at the fact we're talking about Kakaako. There are a bunch of high rises now, there's more on the way. A total of 20 when they're all completed.
37
37 buildings.
by 2030 was the plan.
Well, you know it'll be somewhere around there.
Yeah, 20 to
And
37.
They're all going to
But
be
who's counting?
36 stories high, I think. And there's going to be a lot of glass.
They can go up to 40 stories. That's 418 feet max. And they will take the maximum, right?
All
Sure,
those
it's money,
tenants,
yeah.
think of how many individual living units are in there. Thousands and thousands. These are wealthy buyers. Are they going to be turning off their air conditioning at every step of the way because
No.
they want to reduce their electricity bill from $500 to $300? No, they could care less if it's $1,000 a month. So what's going to happen to our energy use? Then, just today, Horton Builders overcame a judicial challenge, and they have the go-ahead to build
Oh, really?
11,750 homes on the Everplains.
Yeah.
Then you get Castle and Cook, which has the go-ahead to build, 4,000 or 5,000 homes, or maybe it's more than that, along the H2 corridor. And then you get into the Big Island, where in the Waikoloa area, another developer has been approved to build, I believe it's 4,500 homes. How in the world, with all of this new energy demand coming on, how in the world are we going to achieve this? Oh, and then there's more. Brian Schatz just announced that there is $444 million coming to Hawaii, mainly for new construction in the military and civilian sectors. Those are more new buildings.
But wait, Howard, wait.
Yes.
I mean, we've been living in a world of concern about not having enough housing. And all these projects answer that. They say, okay, you don't have to sleep 27 in a room anymore. You can stay here. You don't have to leave. We can provide housing. Some of it actually you can actually afford, maybe. So we're going to meet this extraordinary demand we've built up over the past decade or two, and we're going to give you housing. What's wrong with that? Isn't that a good
We're
thing?
not going to give you housing, we're going to sell you housing. Yes.
Sell you housing.
It absolutely is a great thing. And then combine that with not just our local people, the young couple who's been living with mom and dad with their little kids. Now they get to have their own house. Wow, what a concept. And with construction going up, maybe the guy is in construction, he can actually afford these now. So
But, I
it's
mean, it's
great.
So-
You're
But the
meeting
energy,
demand.
the use of the energy goes with the housing. We for our population, we need the housing, whatever price it is, assuming they can pay it. And then with the housing goes the use of electricity. I mean, that's not a bad thing.
Nope, it's not a bad
So
thing for
what's
the
the
people
problem
who want
with it?
housing.
What's the
Well, I'll
problem?
give you another, just back that up. When these Kakaako high-rises are just in the planning stages, they open it up for sale. They haven't even broken ground, and there's huge lines forming at 2 o'clock in the morning, and they're selling out. There's this huge demand for housing. And then you combine that with China, what's happening along the coast of China. The number of wealthy people are increasing by the millions. every year and you look at the air conditioning or the condition of the air in Beijing, condition of the air in Honolulu, which would you take?
Well, I agree. We had a show about this yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
about people trying to get out of China to get away from the air. So okay,
So
they
this
come
is
here,
adding,
and they
adding,
invest
adding.
here, and they buy some of these expensive condos.
Yep.
But so what?
So we're fulfilling a demand, which is why the builders are building. If there wasn't a demand, they wouldn't build.
Yeah.
These are smart people.
So, but how do you get from there to the fact that we cannot meet our 100% renewable
Well,
target
now, who
for
said
30
we
years?
can't?
Oh, how can we meet?
There's the question I want. The
I love this show.
The electricity company, HECO or HEI, is getting more and more and more and more sophisticated, such that within the foreseeable future, and I mean in the next year or two, something called demand response will come in. And that means that the consumer, be it a large building like this or an individual homeowner, will sign a memorandum of agreement with Hawaiian Electric, and that will say Hawaiian Electric will give you a reduced electricity rate if you agree that when they need some of your electricity, they can tap into it. It won't shut everything down. It'll shut off, say, the AC for 15 minutes, get it back on, or it'll reduce the light level by 25%, or especially water heating, it'll take the water heating off for half an hour or so. And with the advent of electric vehicles, if those electric vehicles are plugged in at the moment, they have a huge battery reserve. They can actually suck that energy out of the battery and put it into the grid.
Why do I feel this is like Star Wars you're talking?
Because technology
This is not a year
improving.
or two away. This is
Well,
much
this
further
gets
than
back,
that.
this gets to Moore's law.
Moore's law goes faster, eh?
Yeah.
The show is going so fast.
Yeah. So
We only have 2 minutes left now. There was nothing you said,
Wait,
Howard.
we haven't even gotten to. Okay.
We want to
so
know
it's
how we do it. How we
Okay,
do it in
demand
2 minutes.
response, time of day pricing. When the utility, usually between 5 p.m. and 9 p.m., really needs electricity becomes very expensive. When it's producing too much power, say at 3 in the morning, electricity becomes very cheap. There's a new sector between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. when PV is producing like mad. What do you do there? The company prices accordingly, and guess what we do? It's in our interest to reduce the electricity bill. We reduce it time of
But assuming
day
we're
pricing.
rational. This is
Assuming
kind of a
we're
basic
rational.
assumption here.
Well, we get a time of day policeman out there.
Well,
and
it's a price policeman.
yes.
You know, you can pay a lot more if you're not sensitive to
And
that.
finally, batteries. Tesla was building this 200,000 square foot factory outside of Reno. They decided not to produce cars, to produce batteries. As soon as they announced that, before the factory was half built, the batteries were sold out. And these are household level batteries where people can go off the
Same
grid.
thing with Sony. Sony has a fabulous new battery now.
Mhm.
We talked to Sony about this last week.
So that's your answer, the storage
Yeah.
and the
Yeah, demand response time of
decentralized.
day batteries.
But-
Oh, and then the energy code. Don't forget the energy code. Yes, coming to a city near you.
Okay,
soon.
so what?
When?
So
When?
what?
Next summer.
Okay.
Next summer.
Next summer.
That's when it comes to us. But when it gets adopted by the
Oh,
city council
when it gets adopted.
and by
Oh, boy.
HCDA, that's
No,
another
that's,
question.
that's
Okay,
next summer,
adopted.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah, we've
Okay.
gone through many
You
steps
promised,
already.
right.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily get it. So are we going to meet
Yes.
our goal, 20,
Yes.
45, and 30 years,
Yes.
100% renewable energy?
That's-
And this makes it possible, all these things you've been talking
Yeah,
about.
that's what I get paid to do, so I'll do it.
Yeah, okay, that's it?
Yeah.
Sharon, you want to take a minute and summarize if you can? I know it's not easy.
No, what was that solar heat? I mean, that we didn't see solar as having light and as having heat. And the new codes, I'm really excited to hear that the code itself, and you've been working on this, Howard, bring it to nation and to Hawaii, hopefully by next summer.
Yep. And,
That'd be
and
great.
then we go to 2018. I'll be attending the first hearing in April.
Okay, you have to come back
And
when
we're-
it's real
Yeah.
and tell us that it's going forward.
Absolutely.
That's Howard Wiig from DBED.
Oh.
And you know, I often ask at the end of these shows, I say, you know, aren't you concerned that everybody will want your job? And how can they get your job?
They
What
should want
study?
my job.
But you know what? I don't want your job.
Sure you do. I have more fun than a barrel of monkeys. I often ask myself, I get paid to do this? Wow.
I think we're coming to the end of our show now. That's Howard Wiig, DBED, Sharon Moriwaki, my co-host of the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum. We've had a wonderful time with you, Howard. Thank you so much.
Come back
Thank you.
again
Yep,
anytime.
we just got warmed up.